Hey there, it's Tom Corsonoles, and right now we're going to talk about picking your categories on Amazon, and this is an absolutely crucial part of your marketing strategy. I really can't emphasize this enough, that picking the right categories for your book will make a difference between selling a lot of books and not selling very many at all. Really, I mean, if you've got a good cover and a good book cover and a good book title, those are crucial to your success. But there's a lot of books with good covers and good titles that don't sell. And one of the biggest reasons is because the authors do not understand how categories work on Amazon. So I'm going to take you through a really in-depth discussion right now of how categories work and how you can use them to sell more books. So this is an example right here of a category page on Amazon. This is the romantic suspense category. And here, like all the bestsellers lists on Amazon, you'll see that they feature the top 100 page here on the left side and the top 100 free books on the right side. So that's the first thing you have to understand, is that free books and paid books have entirely different rankings. So when you do your free promotion, you will be in the 100 free list. When your book is not on free promotion, when it's paid, it'll be in the top 100 paid list. You can't be in both lists at the same time. It's either one or the other. And sales that are paid do not count for the free ranking, and sales that are free do not count for the paid ranking. So that's how that works. And then on the page, you'll see that it shows the top 20 on the front page, and then it's got 5 pages for each category, so 1 to 20, 21 to 40, etc. So what your goal is to get in the top 20 of your categories. Now, the reason is because most browsers will only look at the top 20 books, because after that they have to click to go to a different page, and they rarely do that. They'll look up on the top 20 books and pick one of those most often. So if you can get in the top 20 of your category, that's going to help you really boost your sales. Even if it's a small category, I'd rather have you be top 20 in a small category than be number 100 in a very large category, because you're going to get more sales and more traffic and more clicks to your page that way. So here is what the categories look like on a book page. Right here, I'm just looking at one of the top books on Kindle, Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks. And you'll see, if you scroll down to the product details section of the book, then it will tell you the Amazon bestsellers rank. So this book is number 20 in the paid Kindle store. That means there's only 19 books selling more copies than this book right now. So it's an incredible ranking. It's probably selling thousands of copies a day. And then it has the rankings in the category. So it's number 1 in the Kindle store, romantic suspense, and number 1 in books, romantic suspense. Now notice that there are 2 categories here called romantic suspense. Why is that? Well, Amazon has different rankings for Kindle store books versus books in general. So for Kindle store books, Kindle store categories, that only counts Kindle book sales. For book categories, that counts Kindle book sales as well as paperback sales, as well as audiobook sales, hardcover sales. All book sales on Amazon count for the overall book categories, but only Kindle sales count for the Kindle store categories. So as you see with this book, it's quite possible and pretty easy in certain categories to rank for both the Kindle store and the book store categories of the same category, so in this case romantic suspense. It's also number 3 in the books literary category. Now on your page, you will only see up to a maximum of 3 of the categories that your book is featured in, but this is not the limit. There are many, many, many more categories that you can have your book be featured in and be a bestseller on several lists, not just 3. But only 3 will show up on your book page right here in this section. So to find the rest of the categories for your book, all you have to do is scroll down past the reviews, scroll down past the author bio, past all the highlights, all the stuff, and you'll see in the bottom it says look for similar items by category. And this right here is where all of the categories that the book is posted in exist. So it's not just featured in romantic suspense, it's also featured in literary fiction, contemporary United States, literary, contemporary. So all these categories the book is listed in, they just don't all show up under the product details page. Okay, so here are some really important facts you need to understand about categories. First of all, you can only choose 2 categories for your book initially. When you upload your book to Kindle, you can only pick 2 categories. So here's what your book page on KDP Select will look like when you're uploading your book. And if you look down here where you hit add categories, you'll only be allowed to pick 2. So once you pick 2 categories, Amazon will not let you click anymore. You only get to pick 2 categories. Now notice that each of these categories have parent categories, and some of those parent categories have other parent categories. The reason this is because that's how categories work. They're kind of classified from the smallest categories to the biggest categories. So some of the major meta categories, the really big categories, include things like business and economics, health and fitness. Those are really major categories. So one of the really cool strategies you can use here, depending on your book, is to choose multiple meta categories. So you get to choose 2 categories, right? So you can choose one category, let's say in business and economics, and then you can also choose another category in, say, health and fitness. And this would make sense if your book was about the nutrition industry, or the how to succeed owning a vitamin shop or selling supplements online, something like that, where it's not just about business, it was also about health and fitness. Then those categories would be relevant to the topic of your book, and this would be a great idea to do this, to choose 2 different parent categories, because it's going to allow you to rank in multiple bestsellers lists rather than just a few. So if you only pick business and economics bestsellers lists, then you're only going to get exposure to readers browsing that list. But if you pick a health and fitness and a business and economics list, you're going to get exposure to people in both major categories, which is going to be more traffic, potentially a lot more sales for your book. Now, another thing you have to understand is that you will only be featured on a bestsellers list if your book ranks in the top 100. Again, when you look at the book pages here, it only has rankings for 100 books. That means if your book is not in the top 100 of the category that you choose, then that category choice of yours is absolutely 100% worthless. It does not mean anything. So if you write a book about romantic suspense, and you're a brand new fiction writer, and you put your book in the romantic suspense category, you are not going to get featured on the Amazon bestsellers list, because this is a very competitive list. So here's how you find out how competitive a bestsellers list is. You go to the 100th book in the category, and then go to the book page of that 100th paid book. This is the 100th paid book. So look at the 100th paid book in your category and look at the ranking. The ranking for this book is number 100 in romantic suspense and number 1,964 in the paid Kindle store. This book is selling about 100 copies a day, maybe a little bit more. That's going to be incredibly difficult for you to compete with this book, with this category, as a brand new author. So you should not pick the romantic suspense category, because you're not going to rank in the top 100 until you start selling a lot of books. So what category would you choose? Maybe your book is a romantic suspense book. Maybe it's a perfect fit for this category. But that doesn't matter when it comes to marketing, because you will not get featured as one of the top 100 books, which means you won't get any more exposure for choosing this category, which means you should choose a different category. Choose a less competitive category that you can rank at least in the top 100. Again, if you're not ranking the top 100, you're not making any more sales, you're not getting any exposure. It's a big, big, big mistake that a lot of authors make, and this is why a lot of authors don't sell a lot of books, because they're not on the bestsellers list, because they choose their categories incorrectly. So here's what you can do. Go to the fiction if you're a fiction author. Obviously, you do nonfiction if you're a nonfiction author. So go to this category, and then just look at all these different categories here and see if you can find one that's not as competitive that you might be able to rank in. So let's just go here to, let's try mystery and see what we can find. Let's try mystery. And let's try private investigators. And let's see how competitive this category is compared to romantic suspense. So we go down to the 100th book one more time in this category, and we open up that book page, and we're going to see where this book ranks. So this is 12,244 at the page Kindle store. So it's quite a bit less competitive than the other categories. So this might be a better choice. Obviously, there's a couple things you want to take into account when you look at a category. First of all, you want to make sure it's relevant. It really should be relevant to your book. But again, with fiction writers, fiction authors, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you, brand new fiction writers, because the fiction categories tend to be incredibly competitive compared to a lot of the nonfiction categories. And the big categories like romance and thrillers, those are really, really competitive categories. So you're going to have to think kind of outside the box to find a category that you can rank in as a bestseller. And again, just go to these book pages on Amazon, these category pages, and just browse through different categories and wait till you find a category that's not as competitive. Then choose that category for your book so that you can rank in it. And then as your sales climb up the category listing, as your bestseller ranking increases, then you can jump to those bigger category lists to get more sales and more exposure. So this is the way that I've used. This is really kind of one of the secrets that I've used to sell so many books so quickly. A lot of other authors didn't understand how categories worked, and so I was able to take advantage of this. And now it's only been 12 months since I started publishing on Kindle, a little bit more than that, and the categories are much more competitive now, but you can still use the same strategy to get on the bestsellers list. You can also use this strategy of switching categories to rank on multiple bestsellers lists. So if you're number one in one of your categories, and you can take a screenshot of that and then switch your categories to a different category and become a number one bestseller on that list and take a screenshot of that. And you can become, a bestseller on multiple bestsellers lists. And it's a great way to add more credibility for yourself as an author, and also just test out to see what works. You might find that certain categories help you sell a lot more books than other categories, and so I highly recommend that you test different categories for your books to see which one is going to help you sell more. Okay, so here's another general rule that you really want to understand when it comes to categories and bestsellers lists. So if your book is not at least 100,000 in the paid Kindle store, if you're not ranked number 100,000 or less in the paid Kindle store, then your category choice really isn't going to matter, because at that rank, you're only selling maybe 10, 20 copies a month. It's really not enough to rank on a really strong bestsellers list. So what you need to do is you need to sell more books. And how the bestsellers ranking works on Amazon is it's based on momentum. What this means is the most recent sales are weighted more heavily than sales that happened a week or a month ago. So if I sell 10 books in 1 hour, remember that the bestseller rankings are updated every single hour on Amazon. If I sell 10 books in 1 hour, I'm going to be ranked much higher than your book if you sold, let's say, 30 copies over the last month. The reason is those 10 sales happened so quickly, I've got more momentum than your book, and I will rank higher. So here's a great way to jump your rankings up and the bestsellers list is have 10 of your friends download your book all at the same time. You can gift out copies of the book yourself or have your friends download them at the same time. That will jump your bestseller ranking up much higher very quickly, and you'll be able to rank on the categories. And once you're ranking on the categories, it's one of these things, it's like a perpetual cycle, a virtuous cycle, that once you're ranked in the categories, your rank will tend to continue. And if you have a good book and good marketing behind it, like we can teach you in this course, then your ranking will continue to increase. So that's a great way to get exposure, to get more sales, to get on the bestsellers list. Okay, so one more interesting thing about categories on Amazon is that they really don't make a lot of sense. They don't match up. There are reasons behind this, but you don't need to really understand the reasons behind them. Just understand that this is the way it works. So when you're uploading your book to Kindle and you choose your category, when you come in here, you click fiction, and you come down and you choose your category. This, for example, I'll use the media tie-in category. The category that you choose when you're uploading your book is not at all the same category that it will be in when the book is live on Amazon. So for example, when you choose the fiction media tie-in category when you're uploading your book, it's actually going to appear in the fiction movie tie-in fiction category on Amazon. Now I don't understand why media tie-in and movie tie-in are all the same thing, because media tie-in would have something to do with the media, and movie tie-in means it's like Star Trek or Harry Potter or something that has got a movie associated with the book. But anyways, that's just how it works. The category that you choose when you upload your book is going to be different sometimes very different from the category that shows up on your Amazon's book page. And the only way you're going to know how this works is just test it out. Remember, the great thing about publishing ebooks and choosing your categories is that you can change it anytime you want. You can change it. Amazon will usually update it within 24 hours. So you can test out different categories, and that's what you have to do. You have to test out different categories to be successful. You have to try new things as an author, as an ebook publisher, to be successful. So, I would love to give you a complete list of all the different categories and how they show up on the Kindle page versus how they look when you upload them. The problem is Amazon changes these lists, and some of them change every week. So it's just so much change going on that there's no way I could possibly keep an updated list of the hundreds and hundreds of categories on Amazon. There's actually thousands of categories on Amazon. So because I can't do that, you're just going to test it out on your own, and you'll find the right categories for you. But I just want you to understand that so you're not really confused when you choose one category and switch to a different one. The reason is because that's how Amazon works. So go out there and research your categories, find the right categories for your book that you can rank on the bestsellers list, and then watch as your category rankings increase, as your sales increase. then look out for a bigger, better category to jump to, that next category to jump your sales up even higher. Okay?